Depression is an invisible disease. You can't see it just by looking at somebody. It can make you feel isolated. It can make you isolate yourself. It can turn you into your own worst enemy through aggressively negative self-talk, and it can be physically debilitating. Even worse, we're going to move the mic. It'll help. Even worse, many people believe it's a taboo subject and don't bring it up with friends, family, or even their doctors. I've suffered with clinical depression since I was 19 years old, and I'm unusual in my willingness and openness to speak about my depression publicly. Depression isn't something that is either always on or always off. Like most of life, it ebbs and flows. Sometimes it isn't too bad, like you're carrying around a small spider monkey, you know, little cute guys, with you. You know he's there, but he doesn't prevent you from getting on with life. Other times, rather than a spider monkey, he's a full-on 350-pound gorilla holding you down and holding you back. On gorilla days, just getting out of bed in the morning is a challenge. When I agreed to do this presentation a few weeks ago, I was fine, good even. Today I'm not. I'm smack dab in the middle of a major depressive episode. Normally I'd speak off the cuff on the subject, but I'm not sure I can manage that this evening, so hence I've written out my speech. And if I cry or break down, please just roll with me. I contemplated backing out, telling Lisa that I couldn't do this. But that wouldn't mean the gorilla I'm carrying around won today, and I can't let it do that. That's not my style. I'm stronger and meaner than it is. Depression is among the most treatable of psychiatric illnesses. Between 80 and 90% of people with depression respond positively to treatment. We need to remove the stigma associated with mental illness and encourage people struggling to get the help and support they need. Some statistics from the CDC. I'm a really good crier. I cry very tidy. Depression affects 20 to 25% of Americans age 18 and over in a year, and only half of all Americans experiencing an episode of major depression receive treatment. Over 2/3 of people who die by suicide are depressed at the time of their deaths. Suicide claims more lives than war, murder, and natural disasters combined. And suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States for all ages. In the US, there's one death by suicide every 12 minutes, 105 every day, and over 38,000 every year. In 2014, a 13-year-old boy named Peyton James died by suicide after years of verbal and physical bullying and abuse from his schoolmates. In 2015, the Peyton Heart Project was created with the mission to help stop suicide and bullying and to help end the stigma surrounding mental health issues. Project volunteers handmake these hearts, which I didn't bring any up, with inspiring quotes attached and information on how to find the Peyton Project online. The hearts are given away, distributed at events, and scattered in public places for people to find. The tags on the hearts encourage people to post to social media when they find one. The stories that are posted are powerful. Here comes Susan. These are the hearts. Thank you. These are the hearts. The tags on the hearts encourage people to post to social media when they find one. The stories that are posted are powerful. I've read about folks who found a heart on the anniversary of a loved one's death, at a time when they felt completely worthless, or at a moment when they were contemplating suicide. The hearts tell people that they are not alone, that other people do care, that there is help available, and they help raise awareness of this significant problem. I became involved in the summer of 2015 when a friend of mine from high school's son died by suicide. He was 20 years old, a junior at Northwestern on the honor roll. There was little I could do to alleviate my friend's pain, but I could crochet these hearts. My commitment to the program was reinforced a year later when a second high school friend's son died by suicide after returning from his second tour in Afghanistan. At her request, I crocheted and sent 500 hearts for his funeral in a week. Since I began crocheting, I estimate I've done over 5,000 hearts. With little time and patience, anyone can whip out 5 or more in an hour while watching TV, talking with friends, or even while giving a shed talk at their synagogue. No, they can't. I count. I have to count. I'm sorry. I thought about doing it. I have to count. However, I have done 9 since we got here tonight. They're not trimmed and tagged. There they are. They're not done yet. They're not quite done. The world's a very big place, but no one has to feel alone. I will tell you, that's the end of the speech. In the last several days while I've been dealing with what's going on, now I am going to cry.
The Kleenex is right there, Lise.
I haven't been able to pick up the phone and call people who I know would take my call. You can't do it. You can't call someone and say, let's go to lunch, because you feel like you're going to be a burden. I know.
That's not reality.
It doesn't change how you feel. I am so lucky. I have this congregation. My family gets it. God bless Sandy. He deals with me crying so often I can't imagine. He's got more wet shirts than he knows what to do with.
And we go through a lot of Kleenex.
And I'm a very tidy crier.
I cry, I go like this, and I walk out. I can be crying 1 minute and answer my phone the next, and you would not know. Unfortunately, that's years of experience in turning it off when I can, or I don't answer the phone. If I can't turn it off, I won't answer the phone. This was very vulnerable tonight, letting people see me like this. Normally, I wouldn't show up. I'd stay home, and I'd deal with it. I don't like showing up when I can't be on. And I don't mean that like on stage, just on as a human being. This is about as off. This is off. And I know there are people who are worse than I am. It is a point of pride for me that I have gotten out of bed every single day, regardless of how I felt. Sometimes I get out of bed, I have coffee, a shower, and get back into bed, but damn it, I get out of bed every day. There are people who can't. The Peyton Heart Project is designed to make other people aware, make people aware if they're in my place that they're not alone, and if they're not in my place, that there are people who are in my place living it every day. I'm going to read one other thing I wrote a couple of years ago. This was an article I wrote that sort of describes depression from inside. And this has been published on HuffPost by NAMI magazine, National Alliance for Mental Illness, and is available on my blog. I also know there are several social workers who use it in ERs because it's a great way to be able to describe what's going on for people who've never had to live in this body. I have both a chronic illness, Crohn's disease, and clinical depression. In my universe, they are separate beasts I struggle with on a daily basis to control. My friends and family are supportive and loving, but had trouble understanding what depression felt like until I came up with the gorilla concept to help my father, who also had clinical depression, convey his emotional state to his medical teams. Depression is an ape on your back. Every day presents a different ape to deal with. The goal in living with depression is to have a little spider monkey. Spider monkeys are tiny little fellows. They cling pretty tightly and they can certainly get in the way, but hey, you can manage a spider monkey. You put a leash on it, you can walk around with it on your shoulder, and it might require some attention, but you can breathe, you can think, and for a while you might even forget it's there. A spider monkey isn't perfect, but it's absolutely reasonable. Some days you have a monkey on your back. This guy is bigger than the spider monkey. He's probably still controllable, but he's certainly more of a problem. He's going to steal your food so you won't eat much. He's going to distract you so you can't focus on what's in front of you. And he's going to trip you up, but you can probably work around him with some extra effort. Orangutans are harder. They're big, heavy, and have really long arms that reach around and cause trouble. They push away things that give you joy, make it hard for other people to get near you, weigh you down. They will literally cause you physical pain and block your ability to see the path to relief. If you live with depression, you develop the strength to carry around an orangutan, but you are aware of its presence 100% of the time. It impacts the way you eat, sleep, play, work, and interact with friends and family. Having an orangutan on your back is a huge, heavy weight to bear. Then there's the gorilla. Imagine how hard it would be to get out of bed with a gorilla on your back. Think about how difficult it would be to get dressed, to brush your hair, to brush your teeth, to go to work, and to do your job with the crushing weight of a gorilla on your back. Imagine the pain, both physical and emotional, that the gorilla is going to cause. Try to breathe or eat or think. The effort is exhausting. Now live with your primate of the day when no one else knows it's there. They can't see the monkey, orangutan, or gorilla, and you can't make them believe it's there. They want you to shake it off, ignore it, think about something else. They haven't lived with a monkey on their backs, and they cannot begin to understand how overwhelming life is with a monkey. Those of us suffering clinical depression are given tools to help control and tame our beasts. Medications, therapy, exercise, but some days those are not enough. If we aren't using all the available tools, finding the strength and energy to pick them up is sometimes more than we can do, because simply being is an exercise in emotional and physical endurance. So how do you help someone like me, or like Robin Williams, this was written right after he killed himself, live with a monkey on his or her back? 1, don't be judgmental. Trust me, no one wants to live like this. No one wants to live like this. No one would choose to deal with this. It might look like we're not doing what we need or that we are wallowing in the pain, but from where we sit, we don't see any way out. We are too busy just trying to breathe. 2, respect it. While you may never be able to fully empathize, respect that this is a very real pain in every sense of the word. We know that what we are feeling may not be logical, that's this thing, may not be reality, but that doesn't change how it feels, and it feels lousy. 3, offer the help you can. Be a friend, show the love. Don't walk away or get angry, that just feeds the monkey. Ask gently if we have taken our meds, help us make a doctor's appointment, come by and just spend time, even if we can't tell you we want you to. Roll with me. Listen to us, let us cry, and encourage us not to check out from the world. And know that sometimes we are doing all the things we are supposed to be doing, and yet King Kong is moving in. It's just like that sometimes. Finally, watch for the cries for help. I'm blessed. My family and friends know when I have gorillas, when I need support. And thanks to this analogy, I'm able to tell them how I feel with just a few words instead of trying to explain how a day is going. I have a monkey, I have an orangutan, I have a gorilla. The gorillas are real. That's all I've got prepared. I can take questions if you've got them. I know that I'm not the only one who lives with it.
Explain what Joel did with his house and Alex with his.
So, most of you know our kids, Joel and Alex. At Joel's school, he goes to a tiny little school. There's like 1,000 kids, 1,400 kids on campus. At the beginning of every year, they have a program called Pump Handle, where starting with the president shakes the dean's hand, and then the associate dean's hand, and then the associate dean shakes the dean's hand, and everyone gets in line, and you shake hands all the way down and add on to the end of the line. Joel stood in line and handed out hearts to everyone who would take one. So I sent him with 1,500 hearts that year. I sent him with 1,000 this year for Pump Handle, and unfortunately he couldn't make it because we lost Evelyn. He had to come home. So there are currently hearts hanging on his staircase in his house. And anytime anyone walks in, they're given a heart. There's also hearts hanging all over the theater department. They are everywhere in that theater department. And Alexander took, I think he took 100 hearts to school. He likes to hide them. He likes to drop them surreptitiously and see who finds them. And I just sent 80 to my niece. She's going through, she is a junior at Boston. She asked for 80 hearts to give to the girls going through sorority rush because of how hard that can be emotionally. So I just sent some to her. I've also supplied, Oakton Community Colleges has a program where we've given them about 400 hearts, and some of the grammar schools in the area have asked for them, and I've supplied them with the hearts they need. A lot of people mail them to the Peyton Heart place so that people who want them can have them sent to them, people who don't crochet. I don't usually have enough to send because I'm usually busy giving them to people here. I think I gave you 400 for Sunday. I have another 200 with me tonight if anyone wants to take some. I very rarely get enough done that I have extras to ship to the project, but.
First of all, I want to say thank you for sharing so deeply into your heart. I'm not as bad as you, but I've dealt with major depression, and I know how hard it is. I was wondering if you'd be willing to go a little deeper and just talk about the catch-22 that you kind of hinted at, which is the part about being on and giving the impression that you're fine when you're really not.
When I wrote this article and published it, I published it on my business blog, I published it to Facebook, I published it very widely. I had friends, people we have known closely for over 15 years, who walked up to me and said, I never knew you had depression. I had no concept they didn't know. I thought everybody knew. I thought I wore it like a big bullseye in the middle of my back. I didn't realize until that point how well I pass, how I get by. I honestly thought everybody knew until that moment. I can spend an entire night crying, get up the next day, go to a networking event, and nobody knows. When you look at some of the famous people who have died by suicide, people go, how, they had everything, how do you know? You don't know. There's no way to know. I would say that many, many, many people with depression are very good at putting it away in a cupboard and closing the door, because there is a stigma. I can't tell you how many times I've had people say, you just need to think happy thoughts. You just need to exercise more. If you take this vitamin, you'll feel better. Get more sleep. I've had people tell me, there is no such thing as depression. You don't know what you're talking about. These are not people who I choose to interact with any longer, unless I have to, because some of them are family. Not you, not my mom. Other family, not my mom. I looked at her.
I didn't hear, I really didn't hear.
I said not you. Some are family who don't believe in depression, but not mom. And I can't imagine if I was less open and I was hearing that. And when I say I'm meaner and tougher, in 2008, the bottom fell out of the economy and my business took a slam. And people said, how did you not close? I said, because I ain't letting the recession get me down. I'm meaner and tougher than it is. That's it. I'm meaner and tougher. It's something my dad used to say to me. Be meaner and tougher. So.
You watched your father.
My dad was tough. My dad was tough. You just don't know. You never know. And what's hard is that when you're where I'm at, the instinct is to push away. The instinct is that nobody wants to spend time with somebody who's where you're at. And you don't want to be a burden. And you're all going to tell me I'm not a burden, and you're all going to tell me I can call you anytime, and I will tell you that I won't, because I can't. And it's insane. And I know it's insane. And I know I'm not the only one who does it. I'm not special. This is what it looks like. It looks like this all the time, for lots and lots of people. I can't see.
Melanie.
Lise. I have two things.
There you are.
One, are there things that trigger the oncome of the gorilla? And are there things that make the gorilla go back away?
There are definitely triggers. I lost a full year after my dad died. Flat out. I lost a full year. We were very close. I had a bad holiday season this year, and I am 100% certain that that bad season in my business is part of the reason I'm having trouble today. Although 2 weeks ago, I wasn't in this place. You can also wake up one morning and have a gorilla sitting on your chest and not know why. There are definitely triggers, and there are also no reason at all. And sometimes no reason at all is even harder. You know, you go and you say, well, I know I'm upset because X, Y, Z. Well, okay, now I can deal with being upset because I have something that I can blame it on, but when you don't know, it's very hard. Things that make it better, it's probably different for everybody. I've never been able to find a fast way out. I'm certain that there are things that make it better. And Sandy, maybe you've got a better idea than I do. But I've never been able to say, well, if I go do this, or if that happens, it's going to help.
I would say that there are things that can help in the moment, but in a period like this, it kind of has to run its course, which is lots of hugs, lots of crying.
I add from personal experience that the question about triggers is really, yes, there are triggers, but the thing is that, going back to your comment about, just think happy thoughts, the thoughts that come up just come up. If you really think about this, none of us has the ability to decide what we're going to think about at any given moment. We can focus on a topic, but things just pop into our head. And when something pops into your head that just takes you in that direction, you don't want to go in that direction, but you're being yanked along anyway.
I would say that Lise is her own worst enemy.
Absolutely.
She has this voice in her head that just berates her constantly. And I can tell her all the time that it's full of BS, but it doesn't make it go away.
Yeah, absolutely.
A dream will set you off.
Yeah, a bad dream.
A bad dream will do it.
What's the best way to be a good friend without being overbearing and too much versus...
The challenge is it's got to be different. It's different for everybody,
Right.
and it's different today versus tomorrow. There isn't a good answer to that. Checking in, the people who came tonight who wouldn't have been here otherwise.
Right, what I'm saying is what's good reaching out versus too much reaching out?
Like invasion, maybe, that's what.
Would that be respect?
I mean, a phone call, but if the phone call isn't answered or returned, don't get upset by that. Returning phone calls can be really hard. Responding to emails can sometimes be hard. I tell everybody to email me all the time because if I'm off, I can usually pull off a polite email, whereas I may not be able to pull off a polite phone call. Just a check-in, hey, how you doing? Or I got together with our niece Rachel the other night. I was helping her with something, and when she walked in, I said, you got to know that this is where I'm at. And she gave me a hug and said, okay. And we sat down and started doing stuff, and at one point I started crying, and she handed me the Kleenex, and we just kept going. So sort of ignoring it, sort of, in Winnie the Pooh, no matter how depressed Eeyore is, everyone invites him and everyone just lets him be depressed. That's it.
Okay.
That's it. You just gotta...
You're not going to cheer her up.
You're not gonna... Right, you can't jolly anybody out of it. You can say, hey, you want to go to lunch? No? Okay.
So just be in the moment and go with whatever.
Yeah.
Maggie.
I can't hold her. She's too heavy. I'm not allowed to hold more than 10 pounds.
Does it exist for you, I have that same thing where, I won't check email, I won't answer the phone. Somebody can knock on the door, I don't even answer the door when I'm in that place. And there's a piece of that for me that I'm actually afraid to do that because, I don't.
You're afraid that you're going to upset your friend, or that they're not going to like you anymore because the person you think you are while you're going through the depression is not somebody who's likable.
And
How close am I to reality?
And I'm also afraid that somebody's going to say something innocuous and it's just going to trigger something that has me react in a way that isn't right.
Yeah. The person you think you are when you're in the middle of this is not reality, and you might know it, but it doesn't matter. I don't know how else to explain it.
If someone, and I've had this experience with you, if I say hello to you, if I don't say it the right way, that'll trigger you. And it happens.
Michelle?
When someone, you said, you want people to reach out to you and ask you how you're doing and check in with you. when someone does that, will you say, honestly, I'm having a lousy day, or you fluff it off and say, I'm okay?
Depends upon the day, the moment, and the person.
So how do we know how to react and help you?
Here's how you ask the question. Because Lise used this on my father when he was in the hospital. Are you Lise fine or are you Bernie fine?
My father-in-law,
Go ahead.
Bernie, was always fine. How are you? Fine. Well, how's your pain? Well, I'm at about an 8. Okay. That's Bernie fine. That's not Lise fine. That Bernie fine is my hair's on fire, but I'm fine. Don't worry about it. Bernie fine is I'm not telling you how I am. And sometimes I'm Bernie fine. And sometimes I'll say I'm not good, but I really don't want to talk about it.
Can we ask about your monkey?
You can ask.
What monkey are you today?
Yeah, I have friends who say, how are the monkeys?
Okay.
You know, how are the monkeys? And I can say, it's a gorilla, it's an orangutan, or, you know, no primates today. Yay!
Not my monkeys, not my circus.
Not my monkeys, not my circus, but they are my clowns. Like I said, I've got a couple friends who are social workers who've been using the monkey analogy in ERs because it's an easy way for someone to be able. I mean, you all can get it, right? You understand. It makes sense. It's so much easier than saying it's really bad. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means it's a gorilla, people. I'm playing with you. That's it. But the program is not necessarily about me. It is about people who are like me, and it's also just about making people smile. I handed one to a kid. We were downtown at a show, and we got onto the elevator afterwards, and I handed one to a little boy, and his mom posted on Facebook that it was so nice that there was still good people in the world, and it just made him feel really good. And I just handed it to him. I do it because it makes me feel better. It makes me feel better. And there are times when I go, it's stupid, I shouldn't be doing these, it doesn't matter. And he just about slaps me upside the head. Because then you know how bad I really am. But I encourage you, take them, distribute them, keep them. Some people like to leave them. I'm big on leaving them on those rare occasions when I go into the grocery store. Sandy does the grocery shopping, honesty and advertising. I like to leave them on shelves. I like to leave them on milk cartons, places where people will find them. Yeah, when it's nice out, I hang them on the bushes outside my house. So there's like a whole bunch of them hanging from the bushes. And then you have to take them in before it rains. That's it. Yeah, Sandy.
I'd like to ask.
Go ahead.
All right, so if someone calls and you don't feel like answering the phone, I get it. At what point do people who are worried about someone who's not answering the phone say, there's something that's really not right, something needs to happen?
Yeah.
How do you draw the line between respecting the...
I don't have a good answer. I mean, I'm lucky I don't live alone. You know, unfortunately, Sandy's the gatekeeper. Somebody who lives alone, I don't have a good answer. It's got to be part of knowing them. You know, did you not talk to them for 2 days? Is that unusual? You know, do you normally hear from them within a day? If you call them, do they normally call you back within a day or so? And if you call a second time and they still ignore you, well, maybe now, you know, maybe the next call is, hey, if I don't hear from you today, I'm really going to be worried. Just send me a text to let me know you're okay. Or, I know you're not okay, but send me a text to let me know that you're still with us. Or, you know, or something. I once sent a message, a friend of mine lost her husband, and I once sent a message that said, I know pretty much everything in the universe sucks right now, but I wanted to let you know I was thinking about you. Because asking her how she was didn't make any sense. How she was everything in the universe sucked right now. And she sent a message back that was the best message she had gotten all week, because it was spot on. And sometimes that you just need to say, hey, I'm really worried. Just respond with the letter yes, so I know that you're getting my messages, and I'll leave you alone. And hopefully they will. Hopefully you can have a conversation with someone in advance that says, I get really worried about you when you're in this place. Please just send me something that lets me know that you're still responding.
I live by myself, and when there was a time that I was really, really deep into a major depressive episode, I wasn't answering emails, texts, picking up the phone, and finally somebody contacted, I live here in William, somebody contacted the police and asked for a wellness check. And you know, if you have that much concern, you know, if your spidey sense is tingling, you can't go wrong by asking for a wellness check.
True.
Yeah.
How did you feel when the police came?
Say it again.
How did you feel? Did that make you feel cared about, or did that make you feel angry, or what I do?
It kind of,
Yeah.
for me, it actually kicked me into a different place than it was, and that was, for me, the start of the turnaround of that episode.
I think everyone's going to respond differently. There's just no way to know. Yeah, it sucks.
I guess you could say it's like if somebody cared enough to call the police,
Yeah.
then
How can you be
whatever I'm
angry?
listening to, maybe there's something else going on.
Lynn?
Will you teach us how to crochet those hearts?
I can teach you how to crochet the hearts if you have some knowledge of crochet. It's very I tried to teach someone from scratch and that was bad. But if you've got some knowledge of crochet, I can teach you. It's like 3 or 4 different stitches.
I haven't crocheted in years, but I have yarn, I have a hook.
Yeah.
I've been chain stitching for like a month just to keep my hands busy, so I was making that would be great.
Yeah, and there are patterns online.
Okay.
The pattern I use, there's a bunch of different ones. I just picked one that worked for me. So.
Can you donate yarn? You want yarn?
Sandy, do I need more yarn? I have, there is yarn everywhere in my house. The only thing that I ever run into a challenge with is the tags. I actually have them professionally printed and cut because for a while I was printing and cutting them myself and determined that that caused me more stress than it was worth. So I do have those professionally printed and cut and hole punched. If you feel a desperate need, sure. You can also send, the Peyton Project does accept donations so that when people ask for hearts, they can pay for the postage to send them out. There's no charge if you ask for hearts from me or anybody at the program, but the people at the program do ask for donations to pay for the postage out. They send a lot of hearts out. And I don't know these people. I've never met them. They're out in New Jersey. It just spoke to me. I'm done.